used to sleep together everywhere.
Yep.
Every place. But we did do Christmas Eve at my aunt's on the first farm.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't stay over because it was Christmas Eve. Christmas morning was at home. But we always went on Christmas Eve and had a big feast and hung out. It was so much fun. They always had a fresh tree.
We always had one present from grandmother and granddaddy. I mean, Mama D and Papa Fred.
It was from Standard Knitting Mill.
Oh yeah, our hoods. We'd
the-
get a hood. Y'all call them hoodies now? Hood. And we really felt uptown when they got thermal lining in them.
Yeah.
Did you have a thermal hood? We had one. Kenny and I had one that grandmother gave us for Christmas. Maybe some of the last ones she got. And we wore them and wore them and wore them. And when we lived in Damascus, wasn't it Damascus? There was a guy that came through and needed a coat, and you gave her a hood. And I thought, I'm glad, but my grandmother gave me that. But it was good use.
Christmas Eve, one time we were there and it started snowing while we were there.
Uh-huh.
And then coming back through Halls and up the long hill outside of Halls, and Dad was out pushing and Mom was driving, and she thought he said to turn left, and so there's a road halfway up the road, and he turned and then couldn't get back into traffic, so we drove all the way around the mountains. But we just sang and had a good time. But
Yeah.
it was snowing like crazy.
And we were singing.
And you remember that
No way.
we went by to see Papa Hicks and Nola, and he had just died. He had a stroke and just died, and Nola was trying to find our number. She was, she didn't know how to call and tell Mother. Of course, we were there. A lot of stuff happened then, but it was good that Mother was able to be there. But I remember Daddy said, "Now, Mark, there's no more asking Mother, are you still sad?" Because you were little. I was 8.
I remember,
Are you sad?
I was 8.
I remember walking in and seeing him in the kitchen floor where he died.
Yeah, I was good. They told me not to look, and I did not look.
Well,
And Melinda and Jeannie looked.
And there was a
Yeah.
glass on the floor. And I asked about that, and I was told that he'd gone to get a glass of water and he died.
Mhm.
But for a long time, I thought the water did it.
Oh, yeah, because you were little.
We were
It's
sit-
something
I was
that
sitting
happened at
next
the
to
same time.
Mama, or in a chair with Mama, one of those,
Uh-huh.
big chairs like
Uh-huh.
that. And I was sitting with her in the chair. Of course, I was, 3?
Mhm.
I wasn't.
3
Jeannie was
4
less
maybe.
than that, of course. And I remember just looking but taking a peek in there. But I do remember everything you said, that he was laying in there, glass of water on the floor. And Mama stayed, and
Yeah.
Daddy took us home for Christmas.
Well, we went on to Aunt Mary Lynn's.
And had a party.
That was the year I got the Game of the States.
Oh, came to the States.
Yes.
Dad and I made it in the house first.
Mhm.
And Dad went back out, and I remember him telling her
I do remember.
as she got out of the car, and I remember her huddled over her.
She was real close with Renee.
She was her daddy and her mother both, and she lost them both so young because I was 2 when Mama died, and then you gauge it from your own age. I was 8 when Papa died. That's young.
You were 8, then I was 1, and Aaron wasn't born.
Well, let me make something else up. No, I don't know. I thought maybe I was 12. Those years are kind of like.
Those are called the Wonder Years.
I can go look at. I still have the Game of the States. I'll go see if I wrote something on the box.
When I was 6 or 7, I mean, I remember being.
Okay.
Mark would know.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark will know.
Let's ask Mark.
Mom's not here, I don't have to pretend it.
I mean, this is really true. She would say, "Now they told me at the hospital that I should take this." I'm going to ask Mark. My doctor said, but I'm going to ask Mark.
Let me check with Mark.
And no, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I always do what my doctor says, except when I don't. But I usually do what my doctor says.
Even in the later years, Mother and I were living together,
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest something that elevate your legs or anything.
Mm-hmm.
She would say, well, let me ask Mark.
So this is an RN here. I mean, this is not a novice.
Mother,
Right.
But you were very patient. You were actually extremely patient with Mom and Dad.
I was
Yes.
very fortunate.
And you know, Jeannie did her share. Absolutely, Jeannie came in and did her share. And you were day in, day out, 24/7.
Yeah.
But, okay, you didn't hear her and grandmother, when they would be, grandmother would be like, well, Melinda, where's my food? She'd be like, I'm working on it, Mom. And then grandmother would give you some smart comment like,
I've got
well,
my
it's
bib
not
on.
fast enough, I'm waiting. And you just like, oh, goodness.
I remember being over
I
there one
love
time
you.
when Dad was still here, and Mom was sitting here, and you were in there, and Mom doesn't speak very loud. Dad couldn't hear. You couldn't hear, and you all had a conversation going that didn't. What one answer gave was not the question the other one said, and it went round and round and on and on. And I was just sitting there like, I wish I had a recording of that.
You shoulda. You shoulda.
I was sitting there just flabbergasted. I mean,
You guys are translators. What'd you say? Well, this.
But I mean, it went from topic to topic. It wasn't.
They're having their own conversations put together. You know?
Was this like watching television with Mother when she would
totally.
drop off to sleep during one show and wake up in another?
This is the thing about grandmother when you're watching a movie with her. It doesn't matter what was going on in the TV show. It would be like a car chase and a bomb goes off. And she'd wake up and the main character, she'd be like, or two male and a woman together. She's like, he's gonna rape her. And that was always the go-to. And it was like, it's gonna happen. You're like, what are you talking about?
But she was
Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know.
Our favorite one was when we were watching The Man Who Knew Too Little. I don't know if you've ever watched that movie or not, but you should. It has Bill Murray in it. It's awesome. And a lot of confusion and everything, and they think he's a spy, and he's in a hotel doing some things that shouldn't happen. And the mother walked through and said, I'm not sure he's in the right hotel. And it's because she had not. Yeah.
That mom looked over at Dad one time and was telling him something, and Dad looked over and said, honey, I know you're saying something because your lips are moving.
Yep, that happens when you start losing your hearing. You talk big.
Dinner. Of course, it's behind her.
She always waits to go to the kitchen.
And I'd say, are you talking to me? She'd say, no, I'm talking to Bezos. So be sure and raise your arm if you're talking to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my story, what I remember when we were getting ready to move from the Parish Road house, she ran circles around us trying to pack stuff up, clean stuff up, get whatever we had to do. I mean, she was exhausting. She really was. I remember her taking me to go buy wallpaper for this front bathroom. I don't remember that.
Out of that $50.
Huh?
Out of that $50.
Probably. But we went and we picked out wallpaper. I'm sure she got a deal for it. I don't know who put it up. We'll say she did.
She
Yeah,
did.
I'll say she did. And then we get to the Sierra Circle house, and we're helping them clean stuff up, pack stuff up, all this stuff, remove wallpaper. And I just thought about those poor people that had to remove that wallpaper in Parish Road with the glue or on top of wallpaper that already had glue on it. And you just rip the whole wall down.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, she was at the
And Ariel, what do you remember about your